Hi, everyone. I'm just signing on. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late today. I'm literally still in my bathing suit and coming back from paddleboarding today. A beautiful day in Southern California and out with my friends who I've been sheltering with. And I'm not sure if any of you are signing on today. I'm sorry I did not preempt today's service, reminding everybody, and I'm sort of just, I'm getting in a groove and happy to be signing on Sundays and Wednesdays, but I'm not doing a lot of marketing right now of my free services or my services where I ask for donations. But I did want to check in today, because I have told all of you that I would be here for you on Sundays and Wednesdays, and I am. And if any of you are feeling called for any specific conversations or support, I really want to encourage you before Sundays get here, or before 5 o'clock on Sundays get here, feel free to shoot me a message to ask questions or ask if there are topics that you would like me to talk about and cover. I'm happy to. And I also want to remind everybody today that Wednesday and Sunday services I record and I leave them online, and so there's a whole archive of talks and meditations available for you. So please go back and watch some of those, not just over the last couple crazy months, but really as I look at a few of the archives, really, my gosh, it's quite powerful to look at some of the things that I was suggesting we all think about and focus on over the past year. So I just wanted to encourage that, and today's a bit of a short service because I literally got off my paddleboard and hurried home so I could be with you. I'm even here, I'll show you, still sitting here with my leg crutch on as I hobbled in from the car. But I want to honor my commitment to myself and to all of you to show up and be here. And so while I take this off and talk with you guys, sorry for the camera moving around a little bit, the topic that came to me to talk about today, I'm just going to be pretty brief today with you, but I do hope that by me coming on and talking about this, it can spark some conversation for us. And so I want to encourage all of you, if you do listen to this, to take this into your lives, but then maybe take it into the deeper dives if you're one of my patient students, into our work together, and really encourage all of us to focus on some things. So I've talked about non-dualism. I've talked about, last week, I talked about the learning to fly and realizing that some of us are far off in the left wing of this crazy bird called life, others on the right wing, others somewhere vacillating or dead center on, in general, in some of our issues and some of our beliefs, stances, how we're feeling, not just right now at this crazy time in the world, but in general. And, whether we're talking about education, healthcare, politics, religion, any of the sensitive topics that are the important topics, right? I always find it funny that we talk about avoiding these topics at the dinner table, and I get that. But what about if we could, instead of avoiding these topics, if we could really find ways to navigate them with each other sensitively and with love and respect, and in ways that are meaningful and productive. Let's have meaningful conversations with each other, especially about the harder stuff, but especially about the stuff that we don't agree on. That's some of the most important. What else is more important? I can preach to the choir all day long, and that's probably what I'm doing here, right? With with Sweet Linda and Mallory, hi you two, that are signing on, and I see 4 other people on there. I don't know who they are, but I'm most likely preaching to the choir when I get on here and with my congregation, if you will. And that's beautiful too. Like-minded, like-hearted people coming together to share. And then there's the times where even those of us who really resonate most of the time on the same frequencies and with the same beliefs and theories, philosophies, even we'll have differences, much less with our family, friends, loved ones, or neighbors, or people who maybe feel really differently than us. And those are the people I want to have conversations with. Really, I mean, I love all of us. I love my tribe. I want to have dinner with you guys every day and figure out how to grow gardens and take care of each other's kids and grow old together. But I want to be able to have productive, peaceful, loving conversations with the people that feel totally different than me. That's when we really start growing. That's when we start figuring out the big challenges in the world. And so I thought I would come on here today, and if any of you joined me in our meditation this past Wednesday, one of the things that I asked us to do once we were very deeply practicing, probably 3/4 of the way into our meditation, I asked everyone to call forth someone that we were really challenged with, and to share loving energy and loving space and intention. And really cool. I won't tell you the details of who came up for me, but it was someone who I had felt that I had made a comment that rubbed them the wrong way and went up against what they felt and believed. And it was someone that I had lost as a patient student. I think I don't lose too many, but every once in a while, of course. I'm not the best fit for everybody all the time. I don't need to be or want to be. But part of it was like maybe they had just felt that my beliefs and their beliefs were so different. And so that was the person that came to mind this past Wednesday when I was doing a meditation with you all. And so in the meditation, I practiced what I preached to you all, what I guided you all to do, which was like send this beautiful, open-hearted love. And I just wanted to share with you all that the sweet thing that happened is I finished meditation, came back to my Facebook page to do some things, and I had the sweetest message from that person who had not sent me a direct personal message in over a year. I mean, it doesn't always work that directly and that fast. But the more we do these kind of practices, actually, yes, the more that happens. And it was so sweet. I literally hadn't heard from this person. I did one meditation with all of you really hadn't even thought about that person, and they are just who came through. Right now, there's a time where there's a lot of tension going on for a lot of us, with a lot of people. I could have thought of 1 million people, but the one I called in, a simple one, I heard from within 2 hours, and it was a loving connection of them reaching out to me. So I wanted to encourage us all right now. I personally feel, dare I say, predict that things are going to get more challenging. That potentially some of the things coming down the way for all of us, virus and non-virus related, are going to get trickier. I mean, certainly most of us could agree right now that anything economically for most of us is going to get harder probably before it gets better. For some people, they're doing great through this, and I'm so happy for them. Others that actually are in businesses that are busier than ever right now, but a lot of us are struggling. A lot of people are really, really struggling. Healthcare, I'm not going to go down that road, but, we're going to have challenges with this virus and with a lot of other things. And The other thing that's starting to happen that is really, my heart's really focused on, is that even people who usually can agree on stuff are meeting up against some sticky tension points and disagreements. And I see the potential for more division. And I know with all my heart that each one of us is going to have the opportunity to practice being more compassionate, being more open-minded, more open-hearted, following our hearts. Some people maybe are feeling called towards fringes and not mainstream paths. Others are in total agreement with and it is a challenging time. I mean, there's no one way or right way to get through all of this. But we're all going to need to really practice being peaceful and loving. And so the other thing I really wanted to just circle back to that I just said, and I really mean this, there is, for almost nothing, here's one way to say it: always is always wrong, and never is never right. There is not one way for all of us to get through everything. It's just not how nature works. It's not how the universe works. It's not how any government works. It's not how any organization, no family, not even for one person does the same thing work all the time for their whole life. And in the medicine systems that I have dedicated my life to practicing, the ways that I see healing, growth, health, education, teaching, managing, is with my heart and mind and intention to do the best for all beings everywhere, and to know that in order to do the best for all beings everywhere, all the time, as much as possible, I need to look at each individual in that system and find the best ways for each individual person in a system to function, so then the whole system functions. So, what's the best way forward for our health? Southern California, and even not, it doesn't matter which microsystem or macrosystem we talk about. If we talk about your specific town compared to another town, or county, or state, or country, or household, there's not one way through anything, much less the really tough stuff. And so we really need to keep that in check when and I say this to myself too, please hear, I often think that I kind of have some solutions that would really help most people. And I have to realize that until I really check in with a whole lot of variables, there is not one solution that's going to work for everybody, and it shouldn't be that way. We need to get through this by respecting, and here's a big one, trusting individuals in the bigger system to do what they each need to do, and hope that they will, like I started this by saying, have the best intentions for the large community, the smaller community, and their very specific environment and situation. And scientists need to do this, and politicians need to do this, and service workers need to do this, moms and dads need to do this. It's tricky. There's so many variables for each of us to consider all the time in our lives, and right now and going forward, when global directives are being given, national campaigns are being launched, statewide, your county, your town, everybody trying to figure out how to be safe and healthy and care for one another and themselves, which is what everyone wants to do. Nobody is making their decisions because they don't care about other people. Very, very few people are in that state. And even when we disagree about what the path forward is, the thing is that it would be really great if we started having a little trust that each of us is doing our best from where we are with what we have, every politician, every scientist, every independent citizen. And we're all in, I've heard this analogy lately, in one way we're all in the same boat, but really we also all are navigating different types of waters and different type of vessels. I'm so grateful for myself. I consider myself tremendously blessed and privileged in a lot of ways. Some I was just born with privilege. Other things I worked very hard to have some of the privileges I have, my education, for example. And, and then we each have our challenges. And we have to remember when we have a perspective on the world, and most of us are doing our best to empathize and imagine the shoes being on the other foot, having more privilege or having more challenges and less privilege, just to be sensitive enough to know that we are all in different dynamics and situations and have different fears coming up and different needs that are being met or not being met, and figuring out our ways forward. There is not one way. There's not one answer. It absolutely is not scientifically possible to think that there is one way forward that works for us all. Other than, so here's my clause, right? Because always is always wrong and never is never right. So for me to say there is never one way, that's me using the word never, and never is never right. So I will say one of the exemptions is that coming from a place of compassion for each other, especially when we really disagree. Compassion is always right. Respect. And when people say respect needs to be earned, trust needs to be earned. And I do get that. And if we make all of our decisions from, because always is always wrong, right? So we can't always make our decisions from a place of fear or a place of blind trust. We have to have a little bit of caution and carefulness, and we have to have a little bit of trust, surrender, compassion for each other. So it's this fine dance that we're always navigating with each other. And I hope that you're finding your ways to do that in your families, in your communities, on social media. I have a dear friend who's doing a PhD right now on how much, let me see if I get this right, how much suicide rates are influenced by challenging experiences in social media. Fascinating. He's got statistics for people who are really engaging, and right now, while we're all a little more socially isolated, maybe we're using social media more for our connections. And it's a crazy, crazy place right now because we can have access to each other in so many ways, and we all feel and think and are seeing things so differently right now and triggering each other. Even those of us who only want to share from our hearts and with love, when we're talking about things we disagree with, it's so challenging. And so how can we allow each other different thoughts and feelings and spaces and ways of living, and whatever you think about the way someone else is doing life, even if you think it's dangerous or bad or wrong or risky, Can you have enough compassion and trust and courage and calmness and wisdom and maturity to engage and with those people to really be willing to see that they are in a different boat than you? And so the way they're seeing and believing, and really try and hold space to believe that our way is not the only way. It's what's coming up for me this week. So, and I've got about 1,700 friends on my personal Facebook page, and I don't know, maybe 1,000 or so on this page. So, still pretty small. I'm not an influencer in any way. You guys are just my tribe for the most part that tune in here. But I've let people in both on my professional page and on my personal page that have really strongly different views than me. And every once in a while I get gaslighted, I get bullied, I got called a murderer recently. That stuff happens for me. I'm obviously a pretty outspoken person, but I can say for the most part, and even those times where I'm hitting up against big tensions and disagreements and even potential kind of violent communication or confrontation, that I take that as part of my practice. I've invited it in, and then I step up to it as much as I can and go, how can I get more compassionate, more respectful of this person, and stay clear where I am, keep my mind and heart open. I might have something to learn from them, and can I help hold a space where we can have dialogues and discussions that allow us to be productive with our disagreements. We can even go back and forth a dozen times and still end up disagreeing, but having a meaningful experience, because the conversation isn't always about me needing to convince this person the way I think is right or vice versa. It's just about, can we connect? Can I hear them and trust that they're actually hearing me, really allowing me my voice because they know I'm allowing them theirs. And at the end of these sometimes somewhat heated conversations, if both people can do that, we win, everybody. That is when we win. Even if at the end of the conversation we still disagree, the victory is in that we stayed connected. We were able to align in our mutual camaraderie, in that we're willing to engage and listen to each other, that we're willing to respect each other's views. We find a way to flow together, even though we're in different boats, seeing the world differently and thinking we should navigate differently. And then the beautiful thing is by the end of these conversations, if both people are really willing to have the patience and the compassion and the respect and stay present and hold each other and allow each other to be authentic from wherever they are and whatever they're thinking and feeling. Even if we still disagree, we win, we grow. We create connection instead of disconnection. We are not divisive in our disagreement. We can literally, and if we do that, and if we can stay in that place long enough with each other, with everyone, that's a big order, then common ground is found. Then solutions start appearing that maybe take into consideration everybody's views. It's a theory. It's a theory that I've practiced and I have had some success with in my life, and I want to get better at. And it's hard, and that's why I'm talking about it today. And the other reason I'm talking about this is a big one for me. So I have a guru. Most of you know I have someone who is I don't know if you say more than a teacher, but my main teacher and guide, I call him my lighthouse, and his name is Swami Chaitanananda, and I call him Swamiji. Many of us call him Swamiji. He is my guru, and as much as I acknowledge my bias and love for him, and actually I agree with him on most things, but not everything. And I'll tell you, there's a handful of things that, hang on, I'm going to bump the camera up so it's going to shake because I want to hold it differently. I rushed in here and didn't have time to set up. There's a few things that I have fundamental disagreements with him about. And one of the reasons why I completely love him is because of how we have, for many years, well over a decade now, been able to converse with love and peace. And he is able and willing to hear me take a very different stance than him, and vice versa. And it's everything. I don't need my teachers, my mentors, my best friends, my lovers. I don't need us to agree on everything. It's not possible. I get that most of us, the people closest to you, we need to be like-minded with some of the, I call them deal breakers, with some of the big ones. But that's not going to be the case all the time with everybody in all circumstances and situations. So can we, it's always say agree to disagree, but even go beyond that. Can we hold space to really hear each other, to really allow each other to have very different opinions, even if you think mine is crazy? Even if you think mine is putting myself or other people in danger, if I'm willing to sit here and talk to you about why I think that's probably not the case. You may disagree with me and still think that I'm putting myself or others in danger. But, at what time do you go, I've got to trust that Heather, is really sitting here. She's willing to talk to me. She's not trying to hide or sneak or be nefarious or corrupt about things. She's really saying, hey, I think this way is a better way, and puts me in less danger and causes less harm. You may feel totally different. It's okay. We need to let each other have these differences. It's going to get more and more important. So that's why I'm putting this on record right now and talking to you guys about it, because I really think, honestly, it comes up every 4 years because of politics. So I think we all feel that tension, and it's ironic right now as we move into an election year that's going to be the case. But then we have this additional global crisis going on right now, and that is just like, everybody may want to go back to a normal. We're not going back, and the forward has nothing normal like the old normal. We are going to have to find a new normal, and it is going to be weird for a lot of people, and a lot of this is not like this virus and then no other crazy stuff's going to happen in the world. There will be other viruses and bacterias, and there will be other natural disasters, and there's going to be violence in the world, because there is violence in the world. And so, and with the economic crisis and the other health issues that are coming, we're going to get, it's going to be a bumpy road for a lot of people for a long time. And however our governments and individual communities and individuals decide to navigate all these bumpy roads, okay, it's going to be turbulent at times. And I am not here to say that I know the way through it. I don't even know the way through it for me personally. Every day I wake up and figure that out. And then look around me with the community and group I'm with and figure it out. And we're not always going to agree, even within our small communities, much less the things that we have little control over, and mandates and laws that are going to get handed out. And then we're going to all have to navigate those things. So everybody has a right to every thought and feeling they have. We need to hold space for each other's thoughts and feelings and opinions. And then I hope and I encourage each of us to really extend ourselves to have the intention of holding conversations with people who feel differently than us from a space of compassion and respect and patience. How's that sound? Everybody with me? So that's what I wanted to talk about today. It's coming up for me, and I think it's, whatever topic we're talking about, it doesn't even matter the topic. I'm realizing in a lot of conversations lately that underlying lesson is something we need to focus on. So that was what I came on here to say today on this Sunday service, and want to really encourage people. I haven't been doing a lot of discussing on the Lotus Way. My beautiful student Melissa, who is in West Virginia and taking care of her family and doing her practice, was helping with the social media stuff that I've never been super great at, although I actually love being on here and connected with you guys. I'm just not good at the PR and sales and marketing and keeping things cranked and going, and I'm a little old school, I feel sometimes. But I'm here and I'm happy to be engaged with you all. And if you want me to talk about things or share things, I'm happy to. I have got right now my patient students that are coming to me individually. Again, a lot of them virtually, a lot of you virtually are coming to me. And then, everybody is having to navigate how we start reconnecting in our therapeutic practices, and I'm working on that on a case-by-case basis with extreme compassion, respect, and caution. And really just want to say to those of you who wind up here who are doing individual work with me, wow, I'm so amazed at the growth and healing that's happening right now with people really finding new layers of themselves that they want to work on, and the opportunity that we do have right now in this time to, if we needed an excuse to really get why we need to focus on our health on so many layers that maybe, a lot of people kind of put on the back burner, make not a priority. Right now, what is more of a priority than developing a strong and flexible and robust energetic mechanism, immune system, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual vital health at any stage of your life, with whatever dis-eases you have in your life? This is such a good time to drop in and either overhaul or fine-tune or see if there are things that you can help yourself and your loved ones be thriving more. And as a physician teacher, I'm in awe of some of the work that I'm getting to be a part of right now. So that is my last encouragement for you all, is I will continue to remind you all that my private services, my counseling, my consultations, and my practice are what I pour my work into. What I live for helping you all with these things. I just I love. And maybe I should ask a few of my patients if I can start sharing some of their stories, because it's just the most mind-blowing stuff. In fact, I'll share one. So I had someone whose lifestyle changed drastically with this, who their work was sitting down all the time. They had basically a desk job, right? So many hours of their week was sitting. Well, since they've been quarantined at home and sheltered, they haven't had to sit like that in an office. And have decided, of course they're my students, so they're out planting their gardens and exercising and being healthy and doing all of this great stuff, and when working with me, and their feet were really hurting. They even though a very healthy person, were not sitting and resting as much and on their feet more, and their feet were really hurting. And anyways, the sweetest thing was, and my other patients, if you're on here and you're a patient of mine, you'll be able to laugh at this one, right? Because 9 out of 10 times as someone's leaving a session with me, my joke is, hey, don't screw up my work. So I do all this work and think people go out into the world, and my joke is just to stay mindful, right? To really take what we worked on into your life and deepen the work, prolong the work, right? Make it unfold into your week, instead of get back into your old habits. Maybe say, I know I just got worked on, but I can go do this or that. That's going to really slow down or reverse some of the good work that we did. So I always say, don't screw up my work. Anyway, so this patient who had really sore feet, and we'd worked on, it took, she could barely walk the next day after working on those beautiful feet. And she was very upset about that, right? And almost kind of upset with me. And I said, well, is there a chance you need to rest? And long story short, it was probably 4 or 5 days, not total like the first day she needed total rest. Second day, still not ready to really be back on her feet all the time. Third day, and really even by the 4th day. And so now I know this, 5 or 6 days later, this beautiful patient said, you always, I was ready to go for a walk, and I was so excited because I sort of hadn't gone on a long walk since you'd worked on me, but I was feeling really good and better than even before. And I got 2 blocks away from my house, and I felt Heather whispering in my ear saying, don't screw up my work. And then my feet they felt, not bad, but just like not really solid. And so instead of doing my multi-mile walk, I just turned around and went home and rested. And so proud. I know that's a little one, and it's one that I share with you because it's a immediate and not a big crisis, and someone I know that, even though I'm not saying their name, wouldn't mind me sharing their story. But what I wanted to say, and why I'm saying it to you all, is these subtle little awarenesses and what we can do every day to take our healing a little further, to listen to subtle places in our body really telling us what they need. And that's what I love about Chinese medicine, yoga, Ayurveda, and these medicines that are based on being highly sensitive and tuned in to multiple layers of our system, is we can find these areas where each of us maybe is not being as conscious as we could, or hearing what our bodies are not. Our bodies aren't just saying, hey, I hurt here. Our bodies are giving us more information than that when we feel pain. And I love helping people translate what their bodies are trying to tell them. And then after I work on someone and they feel better, then going out into the world with that level of sensitivity so you can hear and take care of yourself and not screw up my work. And then if we keep working, then we make these gradual or sometimes big jumps in health and improvement. So whether it's someone that I've dealt with, in the last few weeks, I've had a lot of people this season with viruses and bugs. It's not my specialization. I deal with more chronic stuff, but of course, when my patients and students have acute stuff going on, I'm there to support that. And the chronic stuff is so important to tend to. So then when the acute things do come up, we can navigate them with more grace and with more robust health, and a lot less of the chronic stuff making the acute stuff even worse. And I will, obviously we already know that with acute infections, the cofactors, right, going into things with fewer chronic health issues exponentially increases our ability to get through the acute things with more grace and a better rate of recovery. So that's what I want to help you guys with. I want to help you get our long-term stuff addressed, the chronic things the puzzles of the tricky long stuff. That's what I love. I'm like the detective. I love figuring that stuff out. And trust me, right now we've got some amazing detectives working on the current acute novel virus going on. And I've very dialed into my colleagues who have specialized in that, and I'm getting more and more confident in helping to address those kind of issues as we go forward in safe and responsible ways. And as you're listening, please reach out to me. Please share with me how I can support you with your health, your physical, your health, your mental, emotional, spiritual stuff, your chronic stuff, your acute stuff, and how you're navigating this time with whatever tensions that you're dealing with. That's the psychological stuff. I really want to help us all navigate this. Being kind of trapped at home, either alone or with our loved ones for long periods of time, is going to bring up a lot for a lot of us. And I very much am grateful that I have, stepped in for a handful of people and helped figure out how to coordinate, navigate, and orchestrate a little more grace in our homes and in our lives right now. So I've helped people design meditation spaces. 3 different people in the last 2 weeks, I think. We've looked around their houses and found the places for them to have their personal practice. And, people who were used to being able to go to yoga studios for their yoga now need to be doing things at home. And I know a lot of people have set these spaces up, but there's also really beautiful things that can enhance those spaces, call us to them more often, make them more powerful and sweet. So I just, hope that today I am sharing these 2 major things, which was talking about how we navigate with each other, these places and areas of tension, and then also how I can help each of you individually navigate. I hope you'll reach out to me, let me know how I can help you. And let's remember that we are all on our own trips, in our own unique situations. So whenever we start judging someone else for how they're thinking or feeling, behaving, let's just check ourselves, check our privileges, check and be empathetic and respectful, and figure out how to navigate this, especially with the people we feel differently on things with a little more ease and grace, and coming together instead of separating. Let's focus on being more unified than more divisive, especially with the people that you disagree with. That's, but I just wanted to really hold space for that. It's so, so important, and it's going to get harder. So we need to really practice these skills. And then the other part of today's talk was me really encouraging you all, to reach out. I hope you all have good support and good therapists. I'm here for you in that regard, and I will support you. I will refer you to good people, and I am loving. And so anyone who's watching this that's doing work with me, I just wanted to give a anonymous cheerleading call. I'm just so proud of all of you, and for showing up and making the effort to connect with me and doing the work that you're doing, and watching you all grow through this unimaginably challenging time and find ways to be healthier with ourselves and with our loved ones. It's so beautiful. So thank you for letting me be a part of your journey. And to any of you who haven't reached out and are feeling like you need support, let me know, reach out. Tell me why you haven't reached out. I'm curious. And if I can help in any way, I will. So that's that. And if you guys have any questions, please call me. I will also say that, we've been talking about launching our ministry. So we are a ministry and training ministers. If anybody is interested in the Lotus Way as an organization, and being more than just part of our congregation. If you're watching this, you walked into the Church of the Lotus Way, and I am the spiritual director. And right now, this is how we're having our services. I want you all to know that I'm here to support people of all ages. We want to support kids. I love working with kids. I have a degree in elementary education and then in curriculum design and then, all my medical training. But this community, the Lotus Way, is really a community, and I want you all to begin to feel like a congregation, get to know each other, bring me ideas for how I can serve you and how the Lotus Way can serve you. Check out our website, read our missions, see what our healthcare ministry passions and focuses are. I'm working on a developing curriculum with a national organization and starting out with the state of West Virginia for opioid addiction, for all types of addiction and trauma. And we were supposed to have an in-person training for nurses in West Virginia this past weekend. That got canceled, but now we're rolling out some online programs. We are looking at people who want to work with the Lotus Way to do some of our mission work if you're interested in that. And the educational platforms that I have been thinking about rolling out, the 800-hour one is a big one. And I have students interested and teachers interested in working with that. I've just slowed it down. It's going to be grassroots and organic and grow. But if you get on our website and you're interested in those things, please let me know. Because I want this to be our community. I want this to be a place to gather and cultivate and align and thrive, and you all feel supported in whatever ways I can support you. That's the goal. So thank you for letting me join you today in my bathing suit, just out of the water, paddling in the sunshine and sharing with you from my heart. I love you all. I really, really feel so grateful and blessed to get on here a couple days a week and connect with you, and for anyone who tunes in. And so I'll keep doing that on Sundays, and then on Wednesdays we'll do our guided meditation, and then every minute in between, if I can support you in any way, please let me know. I wish we were doing this in person somewhere, at least with a group of us. I hope that time is soon to come. And until then, I am with you wherever you are, and as much as you want to be connected, please reach out to me and we will make it so. All right. Peace, everybody. Go out into the world and find people that you may really disagree with and really feel challenged communicating with, and challenge yourself to see if you can establish a rapport with them, that it comes from a place of an ask and encourage, mutual respect, mutual compassion, listening to each other, not with the agenda to change each other's minds, but just with the intention to hear them and be heard and stay in a place of love. Imagine what our world would look like if we could each do that. So let's each do that. Okay? Okay. That's my commitment. And hopefully you guys are all with me. And yes, continued prayers for humanity. Bella Linda, yes. We are all in this together and all going at it on our own. So let's each do the best we can to hold ourselves and each other in love and compassion and integrity and truth and peace. Okay? Okay. Text me, call me if you need any support. I'm here for you, and I will see you on Wednesday if you don't reach out sooner. Much love.